Welcome everyone to Recovery Sacred Path Recovery Podcast. I know it's been a long time in the making. A lot of things have been in motion, but we're back for another episode. And I'm James Francis, joined by my partner here, Kathleen O'Connor.
Hi, everybody.
And today, as you can see, as it's probably going to show in the video, we're using the Zoom format now because Miss O'Connor has recently relocated to the ABQ area. And I just wanted to start off this conversation with, so how is retirement treating you so far?
Retirement is great. Although I have a lot of irons in the fire, I've got a lot of things going on, so haven't slowed down. I haven't even slowed down one bit.
Yeah. And this is definitely something that I want to continue on, and I'm happy that, I have another individual here that has knowledge about certain things that we cover here. Today's topic is going to be on energy healing. It's going to focus specifically on Reiki healing and how would you define it as like a hands-on healing type of
Yeah, in history, it was always kind of come out of different faiths as hands-on healing. And so it doesn't matter which religion or which faith, there was always some form of hands-on healing, sometimes paired with herbal medicine or things like that. And so as time has evolved, a lot of these different types of energetic therapies have kind of surfaced. And people have gotten used to, well, not everybody, but and I would not recommend that you if you're sick or having a problem, do see a doctor. We're not doctors, and energy therapists or healers are not doctors. They can help supplement regular medical care. So I just want to put that out there first that if you have a problem, make sure you do see a practitioner, a doctor. And again, these methods are meant to supplement regular medical care, not replace them. So it's totally up to you and how you utilize it, but I just would encourage you not to ignore anything. Okay. Um,
okay.
so originally, energy healing came about through different faiths and different faith healers and different people that would use their hands on, they would lay their hands on people. And as time went by, it became more and more popular that people could get healed this way, and they would go to specific places to get that kind of interaction. And so I can tell you from my own experience that when I became a Reiki master, I looked into this and I was like, well, wait a minute, I haven't had this great awakening. I haven't had, the big dream of telling me I'm a healer, or I haven't had anything like that. I've had little experiences, and I was drawn to it. And when I started the Reiki courses, I learned that when a person is hurt, and maybe think of when you're a child, and maybe you fall down and you skin your knee or you hurt yourself in some way, your mom or your caretaker picks you up and usually sits you down and says it's going to be okay, gives you a big hug, maybe bandages up your knee or whatever happened, and you get that full attention and love from that caretaker. Well, that's what happens in Reiki is when we're older and we're adults and we don't really have our moms to hold us or our caretakers to be around and say it's going to be all right. A Reiki practitioner basically lends that level of comfort to a person. So in Reiki, there's different hands position that they lay on the body. They just lay on the body and essentially ask that spirit or God or goddess or however you believe in spirit
Mhm.
come through to bring that healing energy to a person. And over time, while it's still looked on as kind of, woo woo, or, kind of out of the ordinary to some people in some places, it's become more and more popular. And especially in European countries where they actually use it to supplement medical care. So what happens is people that are in hospitals and maybe have surgeries or things like that, after the surgeries, the Reiki healers will go in and lay hands on to people. And they have discovered after numerous studies that the people that got the Reiki treatment after surgery, they actually, their recovery progressed much faster than the people who didn't get the Reiki treatment. And so this is really interesting in other countries like Great Britain and Scotland and Ireland and places like that, where they use Reiki in the hospital setting, and in doctors' offices. So it is something that has become more popular in the mainstream.
Okay. So Reiki, that's a Japanese word, and the Reiki technique is a technique that channels the universal life force energy to promote holistic balance, relaxation, and well-being. And as we start entering this new phase and this I want to say almost new age, we're going back to a lot of these type of holistic techniques that people are starting to understand that they do hold a lot of value as long as you have that ability to really put your faith in it that it's going to work and that it's doing what it needs to be done. And I believe in that because there's a lot of cultures, as you stated, all around the world that have those individuals who are imbued with that power, with that knowledge to use these kind of techniques and channel that energy in order to heal an individual mentally as well as physically.
That's right. And in indigenous cultures around the world, they always had shaman, medicine
Yeah.
men, medicine women, people that would help heal the people that were sick or hurt in some way. And they used a variety of methods to do this. Sometimes it was hands-on, sometimes it was through
Mhm.
other methods, but they were all valid methods. And as people have begun to study these alternative methods, they are finding that more and more people are healed by them and utilize them on a regular basis.
Hmm. And the main goal of a Reiki master is to help an individual to guide their energy and clear these perceived blockages. As you stated, while it's not a substitute for conventional medical treatment, it is used as a complementary therapy to reduce stress, ease pain, improve sleep, and address certain emotional challenges that we may be facing as individuals that come with the challenges of life and the world that we live in today.
Exactly. And we're human beings, and as human beings we have an energetic field around us. They call it the quantum field, that we're tied into the quantum field
Mhm.
around us and without around other people. And when you're able to sort of tap into that energetic field, and you can feel the flow of energy. For example, you can feel if there's a stuckness in the body, you can feel a general flow. And all of a sudden, it's sort of like a boulder in the river. You will come across, like when you're laying hands on, and suddenly feel, well, what's this? There's no flow here. Or why does this feel cold when the rest of the body may feel warm, or vice versa? So you sort of, as you go along, you use your intuition and your innate ability to psychically explore the energy field to determine where blockages are, where sickness is, where there might be an injury or a problem. Um, I remember when I first began Reiki, I was working on someone and I came to a part of the body that was completely cold. And I said, what is this? It feels really cold. There's no energy here. Did something happen? And I asked my client, and my client said, yes. Oh my gosh, I forgot about this. He said he basically fell out of a treehouse and impaled himself on a fence when he was a child. And that part of the body was where he was impaled on the fence. And it was it was agonizingly painful for him at that age. And so when I was laying on hands and focusing on moving energy, basically I felt that, and he was able to say, "Oh, that's what that is." So together we could explore that topic and go in and ask that trauma to be resolved. And so this is the part of Reiki that people maybe don't understand is while there's a laying on of hands, which brings comfort and love to that person because it's all about love, y'all. It's all about love. So as you transfer the energy of love to someone, you might come across those traumas and you might experience that as coldness or stuckness or lack of energy in that part of the body. And that's when you can say, oh, let's figure out what this trauma is and how to resolve it. So that's sort of the next step of Reiki. And so I want to let you guys know that Reiki usually happens in a level one, level two, or level three. The level three is usually the master levels, but it takes generally 3 years to get to the master level. Now that sort of changes depending on what your tradition of Reiki is, because there's multiple traditions. I follow the Usui method, which is basically um, uh, a form of Reiki that was established by a Christian minister that went to Japan, climbed a mountain, and was up on the mountain for 30 days, I think it was. Starting to remember, lose my, forget my history. But basically, he felt nothing happened in that 30 days. He didn't have any revelations or no miracles happened. However, when he walked down the mountain and he saw people suffering or sick or lame or needing help, and he laid hands on, they were immediately healed. And so, out of that experience, was Reiki was developed as a technique, as a
Oh,
healing.
nice. Yeah. So, um, with returning back to school, my knowledge of these types of techniques, of these new methods, I'm barely opening that door to these holistic methods and these holistic approaches, which primarily are practices to treat the mind, body, and spirit, aiming to restore balance and energy. And some of the questions, because I recently took a yoga class this past spring, and that was my very first introduction into fully committed myself to this type of alternative, I don't want to say alternative medicine, but alternative thought. My mind was up until that point pretty much closed to these kind of things. And it was always like, oh, leave the yoga to the hippies and all this, but coming to experience it and what it does, I can say from my experience with it is that it works. It's that breathing technique. And um one thing I learned about it is it's the chakras. There's 7 chakras within our body, and that's what you're talking about, clearing up, right?
Right, right,
The energy, because it flows up and down our spine.
right.
Within our spine is a network of nerves, and it travels from the top of the head to right here, the third eye, to the throat, to the chest, to the solar plexus area, to the stomach, and then at the sacrum. Um, when I explain it to my friends and I tell them, what I experienced it from it and how I can define it best is that energy healing is kind of like the idea or that open-mindedness to understanding that our bodies are more than just physical, physical things. We have energies that have layers to them, and these layers are those chakras. We have auras, we have luminous energy fields, we have and these chakras, these energy fields, they influence our health, our well-being, and working with this energy, it allows our bodies to heal in the mental, because a lot of it is mental. We've talked about the placebo, and we go back to the placebo a lot of times in a lot of our conversations that we've had previously, but that goes to show you how powerful our mind is in being able to convince our bodies that we do have that capability to heal ourselves, and it's peace of mind. It's peace of mind that allows you to do this, and that's basically what the Reiki energy is, right?
It's the mind body connection. Over time, in the past, uh, people were aware of their mind and their body and things that were going on. But as we progressed into the future, and we became more focused on our minds and our mental capabilities and our learning, um, we started to leave out the body as something that was not important. We had bodies, we always had bodies, we always have sicknesses and illnesses and injuries. However, there was a part of medicine that became, oh, it's, let's think about this. This is about thought. This is not, it's more scientific. And if you were to track that back, you could probably find that in a lot of philosophy ideas, is that everything can be controlled by the mind. And in some respect, the mind can control what's going on in the body. But generally, in our society, what happened is we sort of became cut off. And so, in the last 20 years, there's been this whole mind body movement. And out of that grew the studies of the placebo, the placebo effect, and an understanding that what our mind believes is very, very powerful. For example, when they were studying the placebo effect, and I'm so sorry if I don't have dates and names because that was a while ago, um, they basically, like there's a story of a man that had tumors all over his body, all over his face, everywhere, and he just suffered from these tumors. And so what had happened was he went to another country, and the doctors looked at it and they said, "This, we can't find a reason for this to happen medically." And so it's something that the patient believes. So they gave the patient a placebo, which is a sugar pill, and said, "This is going to cure everything." But they didn't tell the patient it was a sugar pill. They said, "This is a new medication that we've discovered." And the patient took the pill, and then the next morning he woke up, all the tumors were gone, completely gone. But he wholeheartedly believed in this medication, and the doctors were very careful to tell him, "Oh, this is a new invention. This is amazing. This is going to cure everything." And lo and behold, it did. It cured the tumors, and the man was just shocked and thrilled. And then what happened was, somewhere in that the midst of that treatment, they basically told the man, "Well, it was just a sugar pill. It wasn't really a pill. It wasn't really a new medication." And the man, heartbroken, began to develop the tumors again, and all the tumors came back. And he didn't really understand that his mind was powerful enough to stop that process.
Mhm.
But when they looked at it, they were like, "Oh, it's an effect of the placebo." But recently there's a book out by Dr. Joe Dispenza that says we are the placebo, which is that we are
Yeah.
the mirror. And how we think is very important, because again, how we think and what we feel influences the body and is very, very important. Even what we speak, how we say things will come back to us in a number of ways. And that's why it's very important to think positive thoughts, to say positive things, and to do positive deeds in
Mhm.
your from your heart, from your soul, in a manner of love, because that energy will heal you and come back to you. Now, I'm not saying that that if you think hard enough, your cancer will be healed, or whatever the problem what is. But it's a start. When we start thinking of the mind, the body as one, and how to work with both, we become more powerful. We step into our power as energetic beings.
And one of the things that stood out or resonated with me the most from the information that I was able to read about the Reiki, that I liked, was the five Reiki principles. It runs parallel to the same advice that's given to us by our elders from the tribe that I come from. And it says that one, just for today, do not be angry. Do not get angered about anything. Do not allow your emotions to take you in that direction. And what they tell us is that anger has that ability to make you sick. Don't get mad about these kind of things, and don't be mad. um just for today, don't worry. That's that same thing about um having control over your emotions, being mindful of these things that you have control of, and those things that you don't have control of. Just take it as it comes. Of course, we always wake up and it says to be grateful. Be grateful for another day of life, another day of having a healthy body. Work diligently for those things that you want in your life. Set those positive goals and understand that it's going to take that effort on your half to attain them. And be kind to others, like you said. And these are what I believe is going to help you stay balanced and stay healthy, both mentally as well as physically.
Right, right. And we tend to disregard our own power. We tend to say, oh, it can't be that simple. But it really is. It
Yeah.
really is. I mean, being in our positive thought and our positive actions, and speaking positively about ourselves and about others, all of that leads into, health and healing of our bodies. So there's lots of forms of this. Now, some healing methods like pranic healing is basically the practitioner doesn't even touch you. They may come around you and feel the energy around your body and ask that it be healed, or focus on a problem that you might have. So they may not even touch you. Um, there's cranial sacral, which I'm a level 2 cranial sacral practitioner, where a lot of the energy, a lot of the focus is on the cranium and the sacrum. So you work with the spine. The belief is you flow energy through the spine, and uh, touching in a certain way in certain parts of the body with certain techniques will facilitate that energetic movement. And it's very profound when you've had this type of work done. You begin to realize, wow, there's a whole part of myself that I've ignored, or I've forgotten about, or I'm not in touch with. For example, the chakras. We can say, oh yeah, we have chakras. We have these energetic places here and here, and the crown and the third eye and the throat and the chart and the heart. We can say and talk about these things, but actually going in, looking at them, seeing how they're moving in the body, seeing what comprises them, what kind of symbols are lying there in the energetic field of that chakra, is a practice all its own. So finding someone that's an expert in that area is very profound. I recently have been working with someone that does this kind of work, and it is extremely profound. I feel a big difference in my mind, my body, my thoughts, and what's going on in my life. And so it's very important that you understand, while you can do a lot of this work on your own by yourself with your own focus, it's important that you have someone else witness this work with you. And that's why the practitioners are very valuable.
And yeah, like you said, it is profound because, once I experienced the benefits of yoga, I actually used to look forward to, Tuesdays and Thursdays when the class was going to be. And it was just that feeling that it was like almost like a floaty feeling after all was done. And you're just kind of, your mind is just at peace. And um so yeah, I truly believe in it. And I know that now hospitals are actually offering it as a form of therapy as well.
Yeah.
And it's very much like how you go to a hospital if you have a knee injury or a shoulder injury and you go for your therapy to rehabilitate it. These practices are therapies to help you rehabilitate your mind. And, as I understand it, Reiki helps with pain management, fatigue, sleep improvement, relaxation. Um, it definitely reduces stress, anxiety, and depression by promoting calm and balance. And um, another big takeaway that I get from a lot of these treatments is it's all about that breath, being mindful of your breath, your breathing. You take those deep breaths in, you take those long exhales out, and usually you have a type of uh for what's the word that I'm looking for? A guidance or a cue to of what to think of when you're doing these things. Say like you're take long deep breaths in, you feel that positive energy enter in your body, and as you exhale, you're feeling all that stress leave your body. Kind of like the practice that we did in the classroom.
Yeah.
When you feel yourself melting into your chair, melting into the floor, relax your mind, relax your body. Just be in that moment, be in that moment and open your mind to what you're feeling. And it does. It feels really, really good. And acupuncture, sound healing, crystal healing, I totally believe in all these things now. And oh, that's another thing that I got to experience a few times was when they hit the bowl and they make it just that
Sounds.
that's a yeah, sound therapy. So
And they've
it
discovered that the frequency of certain sound can heal certain things within the body, within the mind. And if you go to YouTube, you can look for the Hertz music, the HERT,
yeah,
and it has different numbers associated with those things. But I play it every day, and it really helps like lift my mood and my spirit, and my get wakes up my mind. So it's very healing. And there are people that just work with the crystal bowls or the sound baths they call it.
yeah. And with all things, this is one of the goals or the visions that I see for myself and my group as well, being able to learn these techniques, take them back to our community and offer them to those individuals who are looking for that help in their recovery from substance abuse or other traumas that they may be experiencing. And it really can go a long way for those individuals that are open-minded and willing to
Right.
take part and practice these kind of therapies and treatments.
Yeah. When you talk about yoga, sometimes you'll be in a middle of a stretch and a muscle will be like, ah, you can
Yeah.
feel it hurts, and the yoga teacher usually says, breathe into it. And you breathe into it, you imagine breathing into that muscle and eventually the pain lets go. And if you become very practiced in yoga, you can also use this technique in life. So maybe you're suffering from a pain, you're reliving a trauma, or say you did something that you're ashamed of, or hurt somebody, but it hurts your heart. If you take that moment and you breathe into your heart and you ask to release that trauma, release that pain, it's the same idea as yoga. Now, maybe it's an energetic chakra, just like the heart chakra. But you can breathe into that and release the pain and release the trauma surrounding release surrounding that trauma. You can release the emotion. So yoga, even though it's considered sort of an exercise to stretch the body, it's something that you carry into the rest of your life, into your thoughts, into your emotions. And you can use this as a technique. For example, if you have an addiction and you're working through that addiction and you come to a point where your craving is just making you crazy, you can stop and say, I'm going to breathe into this trauma, this addiction. I'm going to breathe into this craving. I'm going to breathe into my body. I'm going to connect with the earth and I'm going to let it subside because it will subside. But maybe you just need to take that moment to take a deep breath and breathe in and say, I'm here now. I'm grounded on the earth. I'm focused. I'm going to I'm going to move past this. And you wait it out and you let it wait out, but you breathe through it. And that's where the yoga experience can be helpful. And also all of the other energetic techniques can be helpful. Maybe you go to someone who says, "Hey, I got you." They put their hand on your shoulder, and you can feel that grounding and that supportive essence of that person. Then you start to feel better. It's the same thing if you have a faith and you say, "Well, oh, okay, I'm going to ask for my angel to come and put their hand on my shoulder, on my back, and keep me clean in this moment, keep me um, grounded and secure." So there's another technique. You call in your you call in your belief system, and you say, "Okay, I need an angel now. Please come. Please help me." And guess what? If you sit with yourself, breathing with your hand on your heart, those moments will pass, and you will feel better. So these are techniques that can be used.
Hmm. So take us through a typical cranial Reiki session. If I was to come to you for my first session, how would it go?
Well, let's go with Reiki first because cranial's a different system. But Reiki basically they might start at your feet. The practitioner may hold your feet, and you may feel the energy or feel the warmth of someone's hands on your feet. And Reiki practitioners, if they've been practicing for a long time, their hands will get hot. Their hands, people used to say at my work, they used to say, oh, come put your hands on my neck, on my shoulder, on your back. It's like you're a human heating pad, because when you run energy through your hands, it gets hot. And then when you lay hands on someone with the intention of helping or healing someone, they can feel that heat in wherever you touch them. And so maybe you start at the feet, you progress up one side of the body to the knee, to the hip, to the ribs, maybe up to the neck and head. And then you progress and, around the body that way. And different methods of Reiki will have you start or begin at a certain place. Like some people will start at the head, some people will start at the feet, but the issue is the same all the time. They just lay their hands on and let the energy flow. Now, the Reiki practitioner usually holds a frame of mind of love for this person, and also a feeling of stepping aside and allowing spirit to come in and do the healing. In Reiki specifically, you're considered a vessel. You're not a healer. You're not there. You're just there to lend that support while spirit or energy comes in to do the healing work. And so it's a matter of you getting out of the way. And you can say, "Oh, I'm a Reiki master, and I've done all this training." But if you can't get out of the way, and allow spirit to come through, then you're not really in the essence of Reiki, because that's what it's about. Now, Reiki also has symbols that they draw in the air over the body. And Reiki masters can also do other things like clear out haunted houses or clear out old energies or stuck energies in the earth. If there's a place where there's maybe been a death or multiple deaths, they can help move that energy on. And so calling upon a Reiki master to do something like cleanse an area is something that happens quite a bit. Um, so that's sort of a rundown of Reiki and how it works. But again, you want to find somebody that's practicing and somebody that's running that energy constantly, because the longer they've been running the energy, the more powerful the experience is in the long run. So but also I just want to bring up, we talked about yoga, but we haven't talked about like the martial arts or tai chi or judo or jujitsu or any of those things. Originally, a lot of things started in the realm of fighting, of being a warrior. However, a lot of the same energetic concepts can be found in healing. And so, when practitioners began to watch how the warriors were fighting and then the injuries they came in with, they started developing techniques to move the energy through the body and to heal the injury, such as acupuncture, acupressure, things like that. And so I don't want to leave out that whole arena of energetic healing. And it's really interesting because a lot of people will be like, oh, I want to be I want to do jujitsu or I want to do Tai Chi or something like that. And you feel like, oh, you'll be powerful and strong and able to fight. However, a lot of those techniques are about moving energy as a mechanical issue through the body, almost like it's called energy mechanics. For example, when I was learning Tai Chi, I could, there would be a 6 foot, you know, guy in front of me that would just fly across the room when I was practicing Tai Chi. But it takes learning how to move the energy through the body and expel it outward. Um, for example, when I was in that phase, my brother-in-law came and touched my purse backpack at SeaWorld. And I went boom, and he just flew across the wall. I didn't barely even touch the guy. And so you can be a tiny person without a lot of muscle, but if you know how to utilize energy, you can utilize it in any way that you need, whether it's for healing, whether it's for fighting, or anything like that.
And yeah, that's something that I really believe in too as well. I know that I've taken an interest in wanting to learn the 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 basic routines of Tai Chi. Um, I'm of the belief that it does have that ability to help you channel your energy. Unfortunately, a lot of people discredit it because they want to take it into the arena and try to use it. But unfortunately, most times, because they're trying to use it in that way, it gets they pretty much get the short end of the stick by people that come in there that are trained to basically go in there and fight and destroy. But if you look at a lot of the old martial arts, they have those routines, and I believe they're called katas. And I think the katas were a form of movements that were to imbue you with a discipline, with a mindset. But as far as trying to take these into the arena and use them, yeah. But but yes, from what I've read about Tai Chi, because even before yoga, there was a book that I read about that, and it talks about being able to use the chi, and even if it's 1,000 pounds, to so many, it's all about deflection, and we use the leverage, how we can leverage 1,000 pounds of weight as long as we have that leverage to move it. And that's how I understand it to work.
It's
Um,
a lot of it is body mechanics and moving the energy through you.
yeah,
Uh,
yeah,
for Tai Chi, they found, generally the women were really good at it because you have to intuit how someone is going to come at you and how to move them away from you. It's all about moving them away from you. It's not about
yeah.
anyone or anything like that. And so in Tai Chi, when you actually push someone, and they have a practice called push hands, um, where you learn how to move someone away from you. Uh,
Mhm,
there would be, these big guys that come in to the class wanting to learn, how to fight. And these little tiny women would just like, with the flick of their arm, move these big guys away from them. And the guy would fall, would float away and be on the floor and say, "How did you do that? How did that happen?" But it was a matter of the energy moving through you. It wasn't muscle, it wasn't body mass, it was the energy. And this is why, and you have to intuit that. You have to feel how someone is going to come at you and be able to deflect that, to move them away. But again, it was always about uh, the best way to fight is to not be there. Don't be there.
yeah, yeah,
See it coming, get the hell out, get away. you know,
yeah, definitely.
so being able to perceive these things and utilize your intuitive instincts, is really part of something like Tai Chi. Um, and so it was an interesting experience for me, just learning how to use that energy. I did Tai Chi for 6 years, and essentially I could do things like, if I turned, if I put like a key in a lock and I turned wrong, the key would break off in the lock, and I'd be like, "What? How did I do that?" I turned the exact right way to move the energy to break the lock, but not to turn the lock. And so you kind of learn these techniques, and it became like natural for you to move in that respect. And that's
Yeah.
why if someone approached me and laid their hand on my back and I didn't know who they were, I would boom, turn around and they'd be gone. They'd just be floating away from me and say, "It's okay. I just was trying to get your attention." But it's
Believe
all
it, because I forgot which Greek philosopher it was that said that. He said, "Give me a long enough pole or stick, and I can move the world." Because it's all about that fulcrum and that leverage, and that's how it works. It's using that fulcrum to leverage that weight. And when we learn these things,
another,
we can do amazing things.
another part of Tai Chi that would be very important for anybody in recovery is rooting. And that's sending your feet, your energy down to the earth,
Hmm.
activating your leg muscles so that they're tight and hard on your feet, in your body, to the earth. Like you connect to the earth so no one can move you off. And actually we practice that. We would practice that sometime with somebody holding your feet and your legs, and you literally, uh, people would try to push you over, but they couldn't. If the more rooted you were to the earth, the less likely you're going to fall or be pushed away. And
Yeah.
so this is a valuable concept because if you start to really know who you are and root to the earth and stay that way, you can utilize the earth's energy to clear negative energy from you and to heal yourself.
Oh, definitely. And I believe in the grounding too, as well, because whenever uh you're out there, uh take off your shoes, take off those rubber soles, and actually let your skin get in contact with the earth and reconnect back to that invisible magnetic source of energy that's out there, and allow your body to reconnect with what's out there.
Right,
And you'll feel it. You'll definitely feel it.
right.
Um, one thing that I find most interesting is that there's different types of energy healing all across the world. You know, every culture has that healing, but one thing that I find that they have most in common is the what's commonly referred to as chi, or that life force energy that we're talking about here. There's different names for it across all cultures, but they understood that we're all imbued with that invisible life force energy that flows through us, you know. It wasn't more or less the brain that they considered the running function of everything. It was right here in the heart. The heart, they have more in they have more regard for the heart because that's where they believed all the thoughts and the feelings emulated from. um, and I believe there is a universal life force energy that flows through all things throughout the whole world. It's hard for me to describe it because I'll go off on a whole different tangent. But my best example that I like to use is the North and the South Pole. There's a magnetic energy force out there, and if you ever consider how the birds and the animals know when it's time to migrate, even the monarch butterflies, they have a real nice pattern that they follow all the way up to California and all the way back down. And they don't have a map, they don't have a compass that they're looking at. It's in their brains, and they can sense that energy and they follow that invisible force. And so, you know, as we've evolved and at the same time de-evolved or kind of distance ourselves from these feelings as human beings, and as we've come to rely more on technology and things that we think we know, we've lost that kind of sense of being aware of that chi, that energy that lies within our bodies. And you know, because we we sometimes ignore these things that are most in the forefront of our lives, then that's how we get stressed. That's how we get illnesses and diseases because we're not aware of what we're doing to our bodies, whether it's a poor diet, whether it's not enough adequate sleep. Um, that's that's what I've experienced in my life, you know, addiction, alcohol, substance abuse. But coming back to having that open-mindedness, that willingness, that honesty to try these things, that's where I've come to regain that balance and reconnect with that energy that I'm talking about, that chi that all these cultures know about. And now these healing techniques, you know, the Reiki, the yoga, the sound energy, um, the main purpose and the aim of all these things is to get that energy flowing once again and to get us back in balance to be able to do these things. And um,
Well,
it's a, you know, I can go on and on about it, but that's how I've come to understand it. And I want to continue on with these practices that I'm doing because prior to this, my form of Reiki or yoga was just going for a jog, you know, a jog and running was how I did it. But then I go right back home and crack open a soda and open up a bag of chips. And it's hard. It takes a little bit of discipline to actually set aside the soda. And that's still a battle that I'm in the midst of right now. And I don't know if I'm gonna come out on top. I pretty much said, come next year, I'll do it again. But yeah, it's hard. It's hard because we have so much processed foods, so much sugars, saturated fats, and that plays a big part in being able to channel these energies properly. You know, if we have too much sodium in our bodies, if we have too much sugar, you know, the end result of those things are high blood pressure, diabetes, and you know, that's throwing our bodies off already to begin with in the physical.
a lot of it is disconnection from the earth and disconnection from ourselves. If you look at Chinese medicine, I love Chinese medicine, and the reason why is because all diseases sort of uh, looked at as an imbalance to begin with, and it's a natural imbalance. It's okay. They might look at the body and say, "Oh, you have too much fire. Oh, there's too much wind. Maybe there's too much water,
Mhm.
causing like an imbalance in the kidneys or." I'm trying to think of my Chinese medicine. It's been a while, but all of the problems that could happen in the body are in alignment with something like fire, water, air, uh,
Hmm.
there's things like that, and
Yeah.
all connected to the earth. And if we start looking at the elements of the earth and the elements that exist within us, and then we find those imbalances, and then we're able to balance them either through medicines or tinctures, herbs or teas, then we can come into a balance. But a part of what we need to do is recognize when we're out of balance. Like when we're going for that bag of chips or that soda, rather than maybe choosing a carrot or an apple or something more healthy to eat.
Hmm.
And so it has to begin with our own awakening, our own awareness, our own self. We have to say, oh, wait a minute, I really want that bag of chips. I love chips. But I want to do something healthy. And when I start doing the healthy things, my body is going to feel better and it's not going to retaliate with some dreaded, horrible disease that's going to be painful and disabling. It's going to be me taking charge of my health and saying, oh my gosh, I want to eat healthy. I want to grow my own vegetables and fruits. I want to know where my food is coming from, who's messing around with the food, putting things in it that shouldn't be in there.
Yeah.
That's happening. We want to know, and people are becoming more and more aware, and they're going to the sources that they can trust. But it all started with kind of looking at Chinese medicine, looking at the imbalance, and where do
Oh,
we,
definitely.
you know?
One thing that I recently started putting more credence to was acupuncture. And sometimes at the community, they'll invite an acupuncturist in, and usually they'll just put like one, two, three needles in your ear. And a lot of people ask, like, well, I was talking to my grandfather one time, and he was asking me, well, how does that supposed to work your body? And I said, look at it, think of it like this. That needle is similar to a light switch. If I was to turn that light switch on and that light switch is connected to all these lights in the room, that's exactly what that needle is doing when they hit you in that one little nerve ending, because it's activating everything else within your body to respond to that catalyst, or that yeah, I guess to wake up.
Yeah.
And so
I,
that's amazing.
I love acupuncture, and people are like, "What? You want the
Yeah.
pills in you?"
It's just a couple pricks in your ears and
It's well, there's channels in the body, and depending on what you're having trouble with, the acupuncturist will go to where that channel is and put the needle in certain spots. Like I have an acupuncturist will say, is it A, B, or C? And he'll poke it, he'll feel it, and the part that's hurting the most, I'll be like, that's C. And boom, he'll put a needle in there, and it might hurt. Sometimes it does. I don't feel it at all. But sometimes, and once it's in there, what happens is it moves the energy through that might be stuck in that spot. And so it's extremely valuable. At first I was like, oh, I don't know if I can take needles, and you can get needles anywhere in the body, and but most of the time you don't feel it. Um, I only feel it if like I have an injury or something like that, and it just happens to hit it just the right way. I'll be like, ow, but it hurts for a second and then it's gone. But as somebody that's had a lot of acupuncture in my life, I can tell you it does work. It really does work. It's worth doing. And if you're afraid, don't be afraid because half the time you don't even feel the needles that are moving in there, that are going into.
yeah,
So, yeah, so acupuncture, acupressure, again, there's all kinds of teas that you can get that help with different things. Like you can take a cholesterol tea or a tea for sugar balance or for all anything. You can find a tea or a tincture. A tincture is like a concentrated tea, so you only take a few drops of a tincture.
Mhm.
And so, you can make your own tinctures based on herbs and plants that you might grow on your own or that you might buy. And then you boil them up, usually with, you boil them to at their strongest, and then you'll bottle it with maybe a little bit of alcohol, or it doesn't have to be alcohol. There can be something else that extends it and preserves it. But there's a lot of methods, there's a lot of ways, and it's important to not close your mind down to all these amazing ways that are all around the earth to heal, to help heal us. But the first healing is saying, I can do this. I can focus on this. What do I need to do? And figure it out and work on again those thoughts, those emotions, those words you tell yourself every day. If you're saying negative things to yourself, guess what? You attract more of the same. You attract the negative to you. If you say positive things to yourself, you attract the positive things to yourself. But you have to first of all find a way to love yourself and to love even the bad stuff, the bad things that happen to you. When you can do that, when you can be in gratitude for the bad stuff, amazing things can happen to you and to your life.
Yep.
And an addiction, I'm sorry, I keep saying it, but an addiction, well, let's go back to that original thought. An addiction is a way to escape. It's pure and simple a way to escape the body, to escape emotions, escape problems, escape pain, escape trauma, and maybe also a way to connect with other people sometimes. Um, but essentially, because you've had an addiction, um, it's very important to come back to the body and feel the pains, feel the emotions, feel your feet on the earth, connect to the earth, and get in tune with your mind, body, and heart, and all your chakras. Start aligning to yourself and to your beliefs and your feelings about the world you live in. You have more power than you think you have, but you
Yep.
have to take that power. And you can't get anywhere unless you take that power and start utilizing it to heal yourself.
So that's the challenge, if you're wanting to get your mind, your body back in alignment, back in balance, first of all, seek out a medical physician, get that overall checkup, consult with a dietitian to get yourself into a good diet, because I can speak for myself, and honestly, telling you all out there, my diet is not is not the best diet, especially since most nights I come home to a packet of ramen noodles and potted meat, and it's like sodium up the wazoo. So, but I'm glad that you started it out like that, more or less that, basically see your doctors and physicians, and make sure you get that checkup, and then, seek out the kind of alternative methods of healing, and
And
I
look,
think,
there's lots of alternative healers out there everywhere.
yeah.
I mean, if you start looking, you'll find them.
But for now, I think we've reached that hour mark. We'll go back into this topic again. This is our first run at the Zoom format, so it was a challenge to set this up. But we got it going, and yeah, I think that's enough for today, right?
Right. Yeah. Thank you guys for joining us. Give us a like, share us.
Thumbs up. Yep. Share us.
Helps the channel. Let's
Come visit me here at the NMSU Grants Library. We got 3D printers now that's open to the public. We got this whole recording studio for the public to use. If you guys want to come in, do your own podcast, record. We're here. I'm here pretty much every day. Um, Still pursuing my education. Uh, and yeah, that's all I got for now.
Yeah. And be the change you want to be.
Definitely.
The change you want to be. That you
Definitely.
We'll see you guys next time.
All right.